What if I told you that feeling nothing is actually your brain performing one of its most sophisticated survival tricks? That the emptiness you might be experiencing right now is actually the evidence of your mind's incredible ability to protect you. Yeah, you heard it right, to protect you. I'm talking about emotional numbness, and according to neuroscience research, it's way more common and way more complex than most people realize. In fact, a 2019 study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders found that over 60% of people experience emotional numbness at some point in their lives. If you are here because you have been feeling well nothing, you are in some pretty good company. Let's understand what is emotional numbness. Let's start with what's actually happening in your brain. Dr. Matthew Lieberman from UCLA explains emotional numbness as affecting blunting. Essentially, your brain's emotional processing centers go into energy-saving mode. Think of it like how your phone goes into low power mode when the battery is almost dead. Your brain does something similar. When your emotional system goes overloaded, your prefrontal cortex, that's your brain CEO, starts shutting down non-essential emotional responses to conserve mental energy. But here's the fascinating part. This isn't a malfunction. This is your 2-lakh-year-old survival system working exactly as designed. The problem is it doesn't know the difference between escaping a predator and dealing with the modern stress. So what triggers this emotional shutdown? According to research from Harvard Medical School, there are 3 main pathways. First is chronic stress. When your cortisol levels stay elevated for weeks or months, it literally shrinks your hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for emotional memory. Dr. Robert Sapolsky's research shows that this can happen as little as 2 weeks of chronic stress. Second is trauma responses. The American Psychological Association found that emotional numbness is present in about 30% of PTSD cases. Your amygdala, your brain's alarm system, gets so overwhelmed that it just stops ringing the bell. And third is depression and anxiety disorders. A 2020 study in Nature Neuroscience revealed that these conditions actually change your brain's reward pathways, making it harder to feel pleasure or connection, a condition called anhedonia. Now, how do you know if you are experiencing this? Researchers have identified some key markers. Dr. Kristen Neff from the University of Texas describes it as an emotional color blindness. You can see the shape of feeling but not their intensity. You might notice what psychologists call diminished affective range. That means good news don't feel as good or bad news don't feel bad. Everything exists in this gray middle space. The Mayo Clinic identifies 3 core signs, and first is anhedonia, losing interest in things that you used to bring. And second is emotional detachment, like feeling disconnected from people around you, even people you love. And third one is the researchers called alexithymia. And third one is what researchers called alexithymia, literally meaning no words for emotions, where you struggle to identify or describe what you are actually feeling. Here's where it gets really interesting. Dr. Barbara Fredrickson's research on emotional regulation suggests that people who have experienced and worked through emotional numbness actually develop superior emotional intelligence. Think about it, you have had to rebuild your emotional awareness from the ground up. You become an expert at emotional archaeology. You learn to recognize subtle shifts in mood, energy, and mental state that most people completely miss. A fascinating 2018 study from Stanford found that individuals who had experienced periods of emotional numbness scored 23% higher on emotional empathy assessment and 31% higher on emotional regulation test compared to those who hadn't. Researchers conclude that numbness, when processed healthily, act like emotional cross-training. So how does science say you can work out way of this? Dr. Dan Siegel's research on neuroplasticity shows that brains can literally rewire themselves, but it takes the right approach. First is somatic practices. Dr. Bessel's groundbreaking work shows that trauma and numbness live in the body, not just in the mind. Simple things like deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, or even a cold shower can help reactivating your nervous system. Second is gradual emotional exposure. Think of it like physical therapy for feelings. Start micro. Can you notice if your coffee tastes good? Can you feel grateful for one small thing? Dr. Rick Hansen calls this talking in the good, and his research shows it literally grows new neural pathways. Third is expressive writing. Dr. James Pennebaker's studies spanning 30 years prove that writing about emotions, even when you feel like you don't have any, creates measurable changes in brain's activity and within just 4 days. But here's the real game changer. Research from the University of Pennsylvania suggests that emotional numbness periods often precede major personal growth phases. They call it the adaptive disengagement, your psyche clearing decks for significant change. Dr. Kristen Neff's self-compassion research shows that people who treat their numbness as information rather than failure develop what she calls emotional agility, the ability to navigate complex feelings with wisdom and grace. Think of numbness as your internal GPS recalculating. It's not broken, it's processing new information about what you need, what matters to you, and where you are headed next. You're not broken, you're not behind, and you're not definitely alone. Your brain is doing exactly what evolution designed it to do and protect you while you figure out what comes next. Dr. Brené Brown's research reminds us that numbing and feeling are skills, and like any skill, they can be developed, refined, and mastered. So the very fact that you are here seeking to understand your emotional state means your system is already starting to come back online. If this resonates with you, drop a comment with just one feeling word, any feeling, even if it's confused or tired. Sometimes naming even the smallest emotion is how you start building back our emotional vocabulary. Remember, your numbness isn't the end of your story. According to science, it might just be the beginning of the most emotional, intelligent chapter yet. So if you like this video, smash the subscribe button, and till then, bye. See you in the next one.